Alysa Liu told TMZ4 News that she pierced her own frenulum 2 years ago by having her sister hold up her lip while she looked in the mirror, pressed the needle through herself, and said the skin there is so thin that she did not feel a single thing when she did it. This piercing, the tiny silver spike visible only when she smiles wide enough to show the gum line, went viral during the Olympics because cameras caught it every single time she celebrated a landing, every time she waved at the crowd, and millions of people watching at home genuinely thought it was gems on her teeth. She did not pierce herself because a stylist suggested it. She did not do it because it was trending on any platform. She wanted it, so she got a needle and put it through her own tissue 2 years before the Olympics, 2 years before the world would see it on every podium photo and victory celebration broadcast to billions of people. Her response to all the attention the piercing generated was exactly what everyone who has been paying attention to who Alysa Liu is should have expected, which is that she loves it. She told reporters she has no poker face and that when she sees people in the audience smiling at her, she has to smile back, and the piercing comes with every smile. The hair that every commentator, every journalist, and every casual viewer has been asking about since she stepped onto the Olympic ice tells an even more specific story than the piercing does, because those 3 horizontal bleached rings wrapping around her dark brown hair in a milk tea blonde pattern are not random, and they are not just a style choice. She explained it herself by saying she just wants to be a tree, meaning she adds 1 new bleached ring to her hair every single year at the end of December as a visual marker of personal growth, the way a cross-section of a tree trunk shows its age in rings. And she started in 2023, added the second in December 2024, and added the third in December 2025 before heading into the Olympic year. The first 2 rings she did entirely herself at home. She wanted a gingery orangish blonde against her dark brown base and handled the bleaching process without professional help, but her hair is naturally so dark that DIY bleach products could not achieve the lighter tone she wanted for the third ring heading into the Olympic season. She went to St. Louis hairstylist Kelsey Miller before the U.S. Figure Skating Championships in January 2026. The appointment took 5 full hours to lighten the rings, tone them, and get them to the exact milk tea color that ended up popping on camera against the white ice surface in a way that made every image from those games immediately recognizable. 3 years ago, she had originally wanted full raccoon stripes across her hair, thought it through, decided it was too much maintenance for something she wanted to carry for years, landed on the tree ring concept instead as something meaningful, low maintenance, and permanent in its symbolism, and has been adding a new layer of her own personal timeline to her appearance every December since. She plans to keep adding rings as long as she is skating and possibly longer, which means the woman who just won Olympic gold is walking around with a living visual biography on her head that she designed herself, executes herself, or chooses who executes it, and controls completely without asking anyone in any coaching or federation structure for permission or approval.
These details about the piercing and the hair exist inside the much larger story of what happened when Alysa retired at 16, right after the Beijing Olympics, because she had completely lost the joy that made skating worth doing, spent 2.5 years living a normal life, and came back in 2024 entirely on her own terms, with the explicit condition that everything would be different this time. She had described her childhood as a blur, where memories of going to the rink and going home and competing all meshed together into something she could not clearly distinguish. She said there were many times she did not enjoy it, and when COVID closed the rinks and she got her first real break, she realized she genuinely liked not skating, which is when the traditional system finally lost her completely. The style she built during her time away from the sport, the alternative aesthetic, the frenulum piercing she gave herself, the tree ring hair she designs each December, the disco and Gen Z pop music she chooses for her programs, All of it is the physical and visible record of a person who spent 2.5 years figuring out who she actually was when nobody was telling her what to wear, what to eat, how to train, and what image to project. She calls herself an artist first and an athlete second, says the ice is her canvas and her body is her canvas too, and the hair and the piercing and the clothes and the music selection are all continuous acts of artistic expression that happen to take place in a competitive sport rather than a gallery. And the judges at the 2026 Olympics gave her the highest score of her career for all of it combined. What separates the Alysa Liu who won gold in Milan from the version of herself who retired exhausted at 16 is not some technical advancement in her jumping technique or a new physical capability she developed during her years away. It is that every single variable in her competitive existence is now her choice, her timeline, her aesthetic, her music, her costume, her training schedule, and her relationship with the coaches who collaborate with her rather than dictate to her. Three-time Olympic gymnastics champion Aly Raisman said publicly that there is so much magic when you actually listen to an athlete about what feels right for them and empower them to keep making those decisions. And Alysa's Olympic gold is the most concrete possible evidence that this observation is not a philosophical position about athlete wellness, but a factual statement about what actually produces championship performance. The young athletes who watched Alysa Liu compete in Milan, perform at the gala, smile with that silver spike visible behind her lip, and win the first American women's individual gold in 24 years, saw something categorically different from every model of elite athletic achievement that the sports establishment has spent decades presenting as the only viable path. They saw someone win the biggest prize in the sport while being so completely and unapologetically herself that the authentic expression of who she is became the actual competitive weapon. And the piercing she did herself with her sister holding her lip and the hair rings she adds every December in her own bathroom are the most honest possible summary of how that happened.